Yes.
Hello, and welcome back after a 2-month hiatus here.
We needed a break.
We needed a bit of a break. We got caught up in life and got a little bit busy, but we are refreshed, burnt out maybe, but we are back.
we did a good amount of movies, and I don't know how long. I don't remember what month we started this, but yeah.
So we are back with Furious 7, so the 7th installment of the Fast and the Furious. Welcome to the Non-Essential Fountains podcast.
Should I hit it?
Yeah, hit it.
Okay.
My fingers on the keyboard had little minds of their own. I was rolling along, writing my usual scathing but civilized comments, and suddenly a sinister inner force took over, and I found myself typing, and I quote, "I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated every simply stupid, vacant, audience-insulting moment of it," unquote, and so on. Altogether, I used the word hated 10 times.
I cannot wait to make a new intro. I'm so sick of that.
Yeah, our janky Iron Chef one.
Recorded off of YouTube into these shitty microphones.
Yep.
I'm so stoked about this movie. It was fun.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed this. So this might take the cake for, top 3.
Top?
Yep. Maybe.
Number 1, you think?
Maybe.
Far?
We need to discuss it a little bit before I make a decision.
Yeah, I'd be kind of sad if I do end up giving it like the best score, because for so many reasons. But let's start.
Let's jump into some fun facts.
Fun.
Okay, so Furious 7, so the 7th installment in the Fast and the Furious series. This released in theaters on April 3rd, 2015. So we are in modernity, pretty much.
For us. People our age.
Yep. You want to guess the budget on this one?
Well, given the amount of CGI that you said, that I know you're going to read that fact here in a second. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just go and I'm going to say $320 million.
A little bit lower.
Really? Oh, okay. Oh, $250 million?
That was the estimated budget. However, the budget they used was $190 million. Huh. It did ridiculously well internationally. Can you guess what the gross amount they made in theaters?
I have no idea.
$1.515 billion.
Holy shit.
This made it the 3rd highest grossing film of 2015 and 4th highest of all time at release.
What?
I know. That's kind of nuts to think about. So
well, yeah, and I'm kind of surprised. I was expecting like the highest budget, but this had a lower budget than the last one, didn't it? What was the last one? Was over 200 million.
I think so. Or it might have been 80 million. I think it was really low still.
Jeez. None of these numbers mean anything to me.
I don't remember. Maybe you remember comments.
I don't.
We'll see.
No.
Okay. So we have a return of the main cast pretty much. We have Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, The Rock, Michelle Rodriguez, Ludacris, Jordana Brewster. Everyone's here. Everyone's here, and we're introducing Jason Statham as the bad guy.
Well, like officially, because he was in the after credits scene in the last movie.
Right. So, and we also have Kurt fucking Russell. As Mr. Nobody.
That's exactly what I wrote in my notes. Kurt fucking Russell, because I love him so much.
All right, and we have a new director for this film, so it is no longer Justin Lin. This is directed by James Wan, if that sounds familiar. He is the co-creator of the Saw series, and he's now kind of spearheading the whole Conjuring, Insidious.
Yes, I think it's Insidious. I think that's the one. He may have done other ones, but I know he did Malignant. He did the most recent one.
Right.
And that has so if you ever see clips from that, we were talking about this because of the fight scenes. Mm-hmm. That movie has like super similar shot fight scenes as this.
Right.
In a horror movie. Just super weird.
Yeah, so we'll talk a lot about the elements of this that kind of remind us of a horror film, because James Wan is most known for horror films, and it's lately, yes, but it's interesting to see a lot of stuff implemented in an action film
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah, I would even say it's really, when you watch his horror movies, you look back and you go, there's a lot of weird like action movie stuff in these horror movies.
Yep. And I didn't write this down yet, but I did pull up a list of other things that were in theaters around the time of Furious 7. We got Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
A real contender.
For
box office that weekend.
Right. I wasn't really going to the movies much in 2015.
I think, did Fury Road come out in 2015 or was that 2017?
I don't remember. That might have been 2017. Do I recognize anything here? Chappie came out.
Oh.
Oh.
So not a very strong year.
Well, the
Other
highest
than this.
domestic box office for April 2015, we have Home, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, Get Hard, Cinderella, the Divergent series Insurgent, The Longest Ride, Unfriended, Woman in Gold, and Age of Adeline. So those were the top 10.
Jesus Christ.
Which I don't think, none of those stand out in my head.
Yeah,
right now.
a few of them kind of, but yeah, I have a feeling I wasn't even like going to the movies a lot at this time.
Me neither.
I was like so broke all the time.
Okay, we can probably just jump into the movie because the rest of my notes here are just about stunts, and we'll cover that.
The interesting thing you said earlier, like right as we started watching the movie, is that you'd read only 10% of like the effects in this movie were CGI.
That's correct. Only 10% of them were. James Wan said that he wanted as many like practical effects, you know, or real life stuff as possible.
Turns out you can't actually drop a car from those towers.
I mean, to paraphrase what I read on Wikipedia, he said something like, "That's what the people want."
Yeah.
So
yeah,
indeed, I agree. I didn't know I wanted this, but I did. You know,
it was really good. I mean, like, I was surprised, but also not surprised to find out it was a different director, because you didn't tell me until like near the end of the movie, and I was like, oh shit, I thought Justin Lin did all of them. I thought he was still doing them, but then it made a lot more sense, because I mean, there's like the fight scene between Jason Statham and The Rock, and there's like all this cool like fight camera work that they've not seen in these movies until then. Usually like the fight scenes, like hand-to-hand fight scenes in these movies, are kind of boring.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it felt different. It felt better, but part of me was hoping that I was getting to see just Justin Lin getting better, you know?
Yeah, I did double check my notes here, and it looks like Justin Lin didn't have any part in this at all. Yep.
Interesting.
Nope. So I don't know why. Didn't look it up. But yeah. On a bit of a Debbie Downer note, this is Paul Walker's final film in the franchise.
Which I did not think I was going to get as emotional.
I know.
As I did.
Right. Yeah, that was... We'll talk about the very end when we get there. But Paul Walker passed away in a car accident on November 30th, 2013. So we're actually coming up on his 10-year anniversary of his death in a couple days here.
It's pretty crazy. He died in 2013, and this movie didn't come out until
2015.
A year and a half later, give or take. Yep.
So I did note, like, all the principal photography and filming did start in 2013, obviously. Yeah. Like, early 2013. Some of the locations used, just to sum it up, they were in Abu Dhabi, Los Angeles, Tokyo. So your standard fare for Fast and the Furious.
They go fucking everywhere in this movie. I wrote in my notes, and I've probably mentioned it before in these movies, where I go, everybody, somehow, how do these people have time to travel? Is what I wrote.
I know.
There is so much travel between, multiple continents, where it's like, we're going to go do this now, and then bang, they're there. Mm-hmm. And there's like, there are days in between, days and days of travel and all this shit.
And that's just the power of make-believe.
I know,
okay?
I know. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a movie.
There wouldn't be a movie.
I kept telling myself that the whole way through this one, too. It was like, that has to have happened.
Yep, there wouldn't be a movie otherwise.
Yeah.
The Pikes Peak Highway in Colorado was also used for the really big chase scene with the bus. So the movie said they were in Azerbaijan in the Caucasus Mountains, but I'm like 90% positive that's in Colorado.
Looks very Colorado-y.
And the Wikipedia page, again, this is just where I get all my notes. So they did shut down that highway for 2 months for filming. So that's quite a
Can't
bit of
imagine
time.
it's super busy.
Right.
Is
I mean, I
don't know anything about this particular highway.
I thought there was like a racetrack up there.
Really?
For like those crazy fast cars that like
Jeez.
do like, you know, those cars with like those giant spoilers on them that are like the size of the car itself. Like the cars are so lightweight that they need these like huge weights on them, and they're like called Pikes Peak cars.
I don't know if I've seen
don't.
those particular.
They're in Gran Turismo.
They're like Le
That's-
Mans car, like Le Mans
I guess.
kind of. Those ones that flip over hills, they get too much air under them.
Maybe
You
we're
see those
thinking of
videos
the
all the
same
time.
thing. Someone will yell at us.
I don't care.
I just
don't know anything
all my
about
knowledge of that comes from Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
forgive me,
Yeah.
general public. All right, why don't we jump right into it?
Yeah.
So we have an opening scene, or at least I think it was the opening scene with Jason Statham, and he's visiting Owen Shaw in the hospital.
Yeah, his brother.
And Owen Shaw is in a coma. So
Which he says he keeps saying he's crippled, and I didn't even hear what like the nurses. Or did somebody in the hospital say anything to him about his condition or what?
no,
He
it
doesn't-
sounds like he broke into the hospital
Well, yeah,
to
I mean,
see him because everything's like
burning
and
on
falling
fire.
apart.
Like they, like implying that he for some reason needed to fight his way into the hospital.
Which that was unclear to me.
Yeah, well, I would guess he was like Owen Shaw was being protected by like feds or whomstever, and he had to fight his way in. It didn't really make sense to me at the time, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah. And he's
So-
like, take care of my brother. He just like destroyed the entire hospital. They're probably gonna have to move him now.
Right. So if you recall, dear listeners, Owen Shaw fell from the Soviet cargo plane at the end of the 6th movie, and he just falls into the fog, and that was the big joke in the last one. Fall into the fog. It's just man in the fog.
Well, this is where, and then I brought this up earlier, is we saw Gal Gadot, the same thing happened to her, which means she's going to come back.
I don't know yet. I don't know.
She's going to come back.
I'm so woefully ignorant, and I know you've heard things about
have
Han
heard
coming
things,
back.
yeah.
I haven't
I've
heard
been
things.
trying to avoid things, but, people say things around me.
So all of you are going to have to sit with me
Yeah.
in my woeful ignorance.
I also
for
see
now.
ads for, like, the other movies.
That's also true.
And
Yeah.
you have things thrown at your face, and you go, shit, I wish I wouldn't have known.
Can I unsee
Yeah,
it?
can I unsee that ad? But yeah, so we're introduced to Shaw right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
And then we see Deckard Shaw is his brother, by the way. So his name is Deckard. We're
Yeah.
probably just going to end up calling him Jason.
I knew that
Statham.
forever too, and I just could not remember his first name because they always just call him Shaw in the movies.
And then we cut to Race Wars comes back.
Yeah, really quick. I thought it was coming back in this movie, but I thought it was going to be a bigger thing. I thought it was going to be like another climax at Race Wars, but no.
And introducing Dom Toretto and Letty are back, and Letty doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah. So that was the other thing, is I was expecting them not to even bring up the amnesia thing, and here it was actually a big chunk of the movie.
It was.
So kudos to whoever made that call, because man, and they do kind of erase it later, but it is a big part of this movie. Letty is still kind of having a problem accepting.
Well, Letty doesn't remember who she is
Yeah.
or what happened or the fact that her and Dom were married. So kind of like the 6th movie, she's still pretty much a blank slate at this point. And when they get to Race Wars, she asks, well, where is this? What is this? Who are these people?
Yeah.
And Dom said, well, we invented this. And Letty's
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? Like, she doesn't realize that she's somewhat famous. She's a household name.
Yeah, and I didn't even. That's funny because I didn't even catch that because.
And people are cheering for her, and
Yeah.
she's like all confused. And then she has that like weird. We get like that jump cut to like. She's like having visions of.
Flashbacks of like, the
Flashbacks.
crash from the other movie.
Yeah.
Well, it was really weird. I didn't realize because they don't really say that in the first movie. That's like Race Wars was like their thing. It was just like a thing happening.
Yeah. And Dom clearly said, well, we started it, which
Interesting.
maybe he means we highly influenced this, not we literally organized
Maybe.
race wars,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
that they're
because-
so well respected in the community that they are royalty.
Maybe, but
yeah.
but she has like an anxiety attack, and then that leads to a scene where they're literally going to smash her headstone
Yeah.
because it's still there. They didn't do anything about it.
Well, what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's has to have happened once in all of human history, right? Where somebody was thought to have been dead, and they had like a mock funeral.
Yeah.
For formality's sake, and then there's a headstone, and this person is actually alive. What happens then? There's got to be like a process.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt, but
like a legal process.
no doubt, I'm figuring that Dom and the gang were like, well, that's just a little awkward. Maybe she won't notice, like. And then when she literally visits her own headstone frequently, it looks like
It's so weird. And they're gonna smash it with this headstone that probably cost money. By the way,
Yeah, it
they
was a
had
nice-
to pay for that headstone,
yeah.
engraved and everything.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, maybe they were like, maybe she won't notice. Like, she forgot. Like, she doesn't know we held a funeral for her.
Her memory's not very good.
And then she's just looking at her headstone. And she gives this very, dramatic and Shakespearean speech about how the date of the death on the headstone, it's like she actually died and she was reborn because she doesn't remember.
Yeah.
And that becomes Letty's conflict
Yeah.
in the movie. So a lot of character development in this compared to previous films. So
These movies surprise me. They surprise me. I expect them to just shove things under the rug. Mm-hmm. But no.
yeah. So that's very interesting. And I mean, I thought it was a little cheesy. This movie still does have a Looney Tunes sheen about it, which we'll get into.
Right before this important character arc involving like severe mental trauma, we get babes and like
Race wars.
business like right away.
And following that, we cut to Hobbs
Yes.
doing his thing, and he has this huge and comical stamp, like this notary stamp, and it just says "captured" on it in all caps, and he's just stamping faces of criminals, like this giant.
Just going through like a folder of files with like black and white photos and just captured.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by there's a Looney Tunes sheen on this whole movie. So
I want to say it seems like it's very aware of it, but I don't know.
I don't think it is.
I don't know.
I'm aware of it though.
That was one of those details that was just like, oh yes, even the notary stamp in this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah. So enter Hobbs and enter Elena again, who you recall was the police officer from South America, Brazil. I think it was in Brazil,
She
right?
got shafted
Yeah. Yeah, so
and
she
continues to.
And she did get screwed over in the last film. I mean, from every angle, like relationship wise, like everything. And so she's going to leave. I totally didn't pay attention to the conversation, but Hobbs is like, "Oh, I have this recommendation for you." So I
Yeah.
assume it's for a promotion or something that she really wanted. And don't get me wrong, Elena's a really badass character that I wish we saw more of.
Her career is soaring.
I know, and I wish we saw more of her, but we don't. We don't see much.
The world does not care about Elena though.
Right.
That doesn't. She's done.
Because she's living her best life, working hard, it seems, is very successful. Like,
Just
I want to
can't-
know.
Can't win in the relationship game though.
Right.
She even seems to kind of like The Rock. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that at all?
Yes and no,
or is
but
it more of like a mentor relationship?
I feel in the last film, like she caught romantic feelings, but now it feels more like a mentorship.
Yeah. Okay.
Because like when they end up falling out the window, or so we're getting to this scene now.
Yeah.
So The Rock is walking Elena out to her car with this recommendation. And he's like, good luck and stuff. It's not romantic. And he goes back in, and this office is entirely glass cubicles. So keep this in mind. So The Rock can see from like 20 feet away that some dude is just sitting at his desk. The entire office is just dark. You just see that blue glowing computer screen in the corner, and it's Deckard Shaw has broken into the building.
See it right away. You can tell right away.
You can tell right away it's him. You just know. And Hobbs is like, you picked like the wrong computer to hack. Stuff like that.
You're not the IT guy. I thought that was a funny joke.
That was funny.
Because he comes back and he's like, fucking IT guys.
Yeah, you're not the IT guy. So then Shaw proceeds to just kick Hobbs' ass. Oh my God.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it seems a little bit more balanced than like the Vin Diesel, The Rock fight from the last one.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's like, I really felt like Jason Statham. Amazing.
Yeah.
So we just see he's not like bruised. He's not like cut up from like the window. Like his face doesn't have any scratches or anything.
Broken glass exploded.
Like we just have like a couple little those sticky pads on his chest. Like they draped some gauze over him.
He's got like a cast.
Sick.
He's a cast on his arm.
He's so. And he's just this well-oiled man. Doesn't look like anything's wrong with him. Just laying in bed.
Just such a joy of a person. Just he's my favorite person to see show up in a movie.
Yep. So it was Dom visits him in the hospital, and this is where we see him in the hospital. Yeah. And Hobbs says, "Well, Shaw's brother is back, and you got to go kick his ass."
Pretty much.
And then they meet The Rock's daughter, who is real sassy to Dom. She's like, "My dad kicked your ass." And then Hobbs is like, "Settle down now, darling." Like it's real cute. Again, real Looney Tunes of this movie.
Yeah. And then then we end up back at the house, and we have this whole thing with Paul Walker's kind of like missing, getting shot at, and they emphasize that he like misses the bullets. It's like, but it's like he's dropping his kid off at school, and you said, because the movie's kind of making it seem like he's still not used to being a dad.
I forgot this part.
Yeah, and his kid is like 4 or 5 years old by this point.
Yeah, at least preschool age, can talk, still in a car seat.
And like it's still kind of like, it's kind of hard to drive a minivan sometimes. Like you've had a kid for like 4 years.
Yeah,
You've been in a serious relationship for longer. I mean, it's but whatever.
Well, the reason I said that was so he's driving a minivan, and his son's like, "Yay, we're here," or whatever. His son says something. And Paul Walker is just so awkward. He's like, "Hey, bud, do you know how to open the windows in this?" Like, says it like jokingly.
He can't work the
he doesn't know anything. And then he hands off his child, Jack, to his teacher. And she's like, "We're going to have a great day," and da-da-da.
It's also kind of weird. Why is the teacher like picking the child up at the car?
I don't know.
Like individually.
I don't know how schools work.
Well,
we don't have kids. I don't know. So
okay.
I'll let that lie.
I'll accept that. But
he waves him goodbye, like, "Okay, bye, child, that I have no time to see because I'm committing crimes."
I have no idea. Well,
internationally."
technically, I think they say he's retired or something, or is he still in the FBI, but he's not doing anything? I have no idea. I don't remember.
I don't think he does. I don't think he's doing anything. I think he's probably just living off all the money from the previous movie. Like, they're just living in that house, that dumpy ass house.
So back to the house, and then so Dom is there, and a mysterious package shows up with Japanese kanji on it, and then we are suddenly up to speed on the timeline of all movies at this point. And it is the phone call that Deckard Shaw makes as Han is blowing up in Japan.
Yes,
and
the events of Tokyo Drift are happening at the same time as this. So bear this in mind.
And suddenly the package on the porch blows up, and the old fast house is finally erased from the franchise.
Yep, they've blown it up. No more dumpy Corona house.
If they only knew all the other changes they were going to make with this series after that.
It was so confusing because the van was also halfway out into the street when the blast hit.
Yeah. They parked kind of weird in their parking lot, in their driveway.
Yeah.
I don't know. They
were like on the sidewalk.
It's kind of an awkward spot on the lot. I mean, he just had a feeling the house was gonna blow up.
That's what I was gonna say. Why was it conveniently there? How did he know the house?
It's kind
was
of brutal though, because
It
he
is.
closes.
He closes the door and it like while putting his son in his car seat, and then we just see the shot from inside the van of Paul Walker just like slamming into the
window.
glass.
Yeah, it's
like
fucking
and his son
brutal.
just watching him
Yeah.
from the explosion.
CGI explosion.
Yeah,
There's 1%
yeah.
of this movie.
I wasn't really trying to pick out what was computer and what wasn't
either.
really.
I wasn't
but-
either, but I will say that it was a noticeably CGI
Right.
explosion, which I don't know why that bothers me. But it was I mean, it's still fine. This movie looks great, but it was just like noticeably. It just looked kind of
Well, the
fakey.
dumpy house deserved a
I'm
dumpy
still
exit.
happy to see that stupid fucking house blow
It
up.
deserved a CGI explosion.
So, like, let's move on from the goddamn house. And then
Oh yeah, there was the cemetery chase scene all the way through Oakland Cemetery after.
yeah.
So Dom now knows. Well, he learned from Hobbs that Han's dead, or he knows that Han's dead.
Yeah,
I don't think he learns it.
Yeah, I don't remember how
I think he just
learns.
assumes because
Yeah.
of the package. He puts two and two together.
Well, The Rock tells him in that meeting. The Rock all that exposition happens in the hospital room, I think, and The Rock is telling him all about Hobbs or Shaw and shit.
Yeah, so they go to Japan for 5 seconds to collect Han's body, or I guess bring him back.
That's right, because we're in the end credits scene of Tokyo Drift again.
Yeah, and someone gives Dom, I forget who that other character was from 3, but he gives Dom's cross back.
That was the guy from Tokyo Drift.
I know, I don't remember his name.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
That's what I mean. I don't remember his name. I knew he was integral person, but I
looked-
don't remember.
He looked noticeably older.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know how many years it had been. Probably, actually, since 2006
Yeah.
or 2003, Tokyo Drift happened.
Yeah, that came out in 2003
Yeah, I
pretty sure.
can never remember, but yeah.
or 2006. Now I can't remember. I'm going to have to Google it. I'm going to have to Google it, everyone. I don't. And there was a previous episode I corrected him about the year it
it's
came
me
out.
that
so
can
I'm
never
gonna
remember what year that movie came out and in what order.
Keep your stupid comments in your pocket.
So, but that's all just so he gets the cross.
Yeah, so he gets his cross back, which has
Yeah.
been, if you think about it, that cross has been globetrotting. It was in
How-
Brazil.
How did it end up with Han? I don't remember that.
Because I think, because it ended up with Elena at some point, and then it ended up with Letty, and then it somehow ended up, it must have ended up with Giselle and then Han somehow. I don't know why I'm thinking Giselle, but that's the only, because I don't think Letty directly talked to Han ever.
I don't know. That the cross thing was a confusing
But
aspect for me.
Well, I specifically remember Elena finding Dom in the other movie.
I
and
remember
she had
this.
it.
Yes, I remember. That's why it's confusing, because then I thought he had gotten it back, and then he just had it from there.
No.
I don't remember it traveling.
Well, because it had to have been Elena first, since that movie took place before Tokyo Drift. So
Okay.
Elena had to have given it to Letty then when they found Letty again and said, like, you'll understand. Like, I remember that there was a handoff of it, or she
Okay.
gave it to
All
Paul
right.
Walker.
I'll trust your memory on that, because I don't have any whatsoever.
My point is, regardless of, like, to whom it was given, it has globe-trotted. So there
gone
goes
around.
there comes our motif of family
It's gotten
again.
around, yeah. Yeah. The traveling cross necklace has really made its way.
So Dom has his iconic cross or rosary. I thought it was a rosary he was wearing, but I think it's just a cross necklace.
Yeah, pretty
But-
much. And then after that, we get introduced to Kurt fucking Russell.
Yeah,
Finally.
so Dom and Shaw crash into each other, literally. They're playing a game of chicken.
Oh, that's right, the fight. I forgot about this.
Well, there's a fight, and this is where Kurt fucking Russell comes in. He interrupts their fight with his, military ragtag gang.
Black. They're CIA. Are they
Yeah.
CIA, or is
Yeah,
it
but
supposed to be CIA or like rogue CIA or something?
Yeah, the word, it's like the prison that Shaw ends up in has the word black in it. It's like I can't remember, or dark, something.
I think
Something-
they're supposed to be like Black Forest, which I think
Yeah.
or Blackwater, which I think is like a real life like private contracting group
I'll trust you on
of
that
like
one.
mercenaries. Well, you see like movies pop in with, well, you know, plays on that all the time. It's like Blackwater, Black Forest, or Dark Matter, just some shit like that. And
Yeah.
it's just like military guys. That's probably what it's supposed to be. They're government, but they're like black ops kind of weird, untracked government shit. I don't know, but it's
Kurt Russell.
ends up being one of my favorite things about the movie.
Yes, and his character, he introduces himself as Mr. Nobody, and I kind of think that as a joke, like, you know, he's this obviously high-ranking military operative person. Why would he call Mr. Nobody? His credit is actually Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Which I think that's very clever.
I love it. And well, I mean, you're going to be I feel like, and I'm thinking about this right now, you're going to get a lot more excited about the deep, weird government stuff
Probably.
when we get into like Hobbs and Shaw, because I feel like he is connected into something into the villain of some sort in Hobbs and Shaw.
I
which
hope
is
so.
crazy.
That would be a fabulous twist.
Yeah, there's a lot of we're going to start to see a lot of crossover stuff. I'm really excited because I'm so excited to watch Hobbs.
Well,
and
here's
Shaw.
my other thought and the other note I made, and I joked about this too, that all the dialogue in this film, you know, any conversation that Kurt Russell has with anyone, if you chopped it out and put it in a Metal Gear Solid game, it would work, and it would not make the game make any more sense or any less sense.
You know
I'm
what?
being dead serious.
What I love about that, what I love about that comparison too, is that Kurt Russell, aka Snake Plissken, is the inspiration for Solid Snake.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
So that totally
Well, I just kept thinking
tracks in so many ways.
Like, oh, how many speeches? Like, you know, like 5 nanobots becomes 10, it becomes 100 nanobots. Oh, you're gonna, and then like Furious 7, you get that supercomputer. It could see everything. It hacks into the digital network. Did I say it hacked into the digital network? Nanobots. Like, it just doesn't matter.
That's so. I put this in my notes and I made a really quick note about it, but it is something I wanted to bring up, and that's this movie introduces the all-seeing eye computer, or they call it the God's eye in this.
Yes,
but it's a thing that exists in like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. There's other movies. There's like Eagle Eye. There's a bunch of movies around the same time period, like 2008 to like 2015, 2016, where there's always this computer or like or software that tracks. It can find anybody anywhere in the world in seconds using like mobile phones and CCTVs and stuff. It's always that same exact thing, and it's been in so many movies that like I was looking for the thing that showed something that was like 2015 about this movie, which doesn't seem like that long ago, but it kind of is.
it always has the same sound effect, that weird like beep,
Yep.
like the weird that weird bleep bloopy.
Like, and it all just fits on a flash drive.
Yeah, we need a new sound effect for like technology hacking noises. Like computers, just we don't.
Most of the time, it's just silent. Like,
Most of the time, it's just silent. There's not a ton of analog
you see
stuff
like an
going
IT
on
person,
anymore.
or when an IT person remotes into my computer at work, and I just stand there and watch it happen.
I know.
It's the most mundane, boring, just unclicking boxes.
Yeah, I don't hear any or like, you know, we don't.
There's not any moving parts in my PC at work for sure.
Yeah, I'll just there's clackety keyboards, but
this is where Kurt Russell, we end up learning that who was transporting? I don't remember who's transporting this hacker chick, but it
was
is the creator
terrorists.
of. Okay, the Digimon Hanzo.
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy. Okay.
Oh yeah, we
That's-
haven't introduced the terrorist guy yet.
Yeah, so his actor name is, if I'm remembering right, it's Digimon Hansu. He was in that movie Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio. It was like his breakout movie. But like he's just kind of this crazy character actor from lately. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was cool. It was cool to see him. He's randomly in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Really?
too.
I'm glad you know stuff because I didn't.
Yeah.
I was not familiar.
I did not expect him to be. I was expecting him to like die off right away, and for Kurt Russell to be the villain. And that's like it's the whole thing with Kurt Russell is the whole time we're watching this movie, I'm going like, oh, Kurt Russell's going to be the villain.
Yeah, I did not write down what his name is.
I don't remember either, but he just runs like the terrorist,
Mose
like
Jakande.
the paramilitary like terrorist group that wants this God's Eye thing.
Yeah, so he is part of a Nigerian terrorist group, and they're trying to kidnap this hacker named Ramsey,
Yeah.
who is a young English woman.
I don't know what her
or
name
British.
is. I don't know what else she's been in. Like, she wasn't familiar to me in any way.
I don't know either.
Probably, I don't know. I'm sure she's somebody.
Didn't look it up. Sorry.
I don't do any research before or after, really. Just if it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about, it's because I don't.
I barely do, so.
But so then we get into the meat of the plot, which is basically Kurt Russell's like, hey, I'm super kind of under like deep black ops government guy, and we need this God's Eye computer, but we need the hacker to tell us where it is because she hid it, and this military group has her kidnapped, and you need to go get her and help us find this God's Eye, and then we'll help you get Deckard Shaw. Basically, that's the plot of the movie.
And it sounds like they want Shaw for other reasons too.
Yeah, well, he's responsible for a bunch of bullshit. He's like an ex British Secret Service or something.
Yeah.
He's basically evil 007.
Grenade
you
Man.
call him. Yeah.
No, he's Grenade Man. He's only Grenade Man.
I don't remember him having a whole lot of like explosive stuff in Hobbs and Shaw, so I don't remember if that's a continuing
Which I have not
gag.
seen, everyone, by the way.
I'm the only one that's seen that one.
So again, if my commentary is woefully ignorant, I literally know nothing.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah. But I've been really excited. I was stoked to watch this because I just liked Hobbs and Shaw a lot, and I didn't really know a ton of the lore surrounding it at the time that I watched it.
Yes,
so
there's
I'm
so
excited
much
for
lore unfolding.
There
in
is
this movie.
though, and again, it's these movies. Like I said earlier, I keep expecting them to disappoint me in the continuity aspect, and it's dumb. Mm-hmm. Like, it's stupid. It's not like this isn't like. I mean, you can't compare it to something like Metal Gear and say it is of the same ilk of heady kind of absurdity like Metal Gear is. It's just they just kept the story going by any means necessary.
Yep.
And all this crazy shit happens on the way, and I've been down with it more and more.
Yeah, it helps that it has the Looney Tunes sheen.
Exactly.
So I think that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about the scene where we meet the terrorist guy that has the hacker a bit, because this is where the Lockheed scene is, where they drop a bunch of cars out of a fucking Lockheed flying over a
I like
highway.
that it's the Lockheed scene.
Yeah. Yep, I did look it up. So a Lockheed C-130 Hercules stunt.
Hell yeah.
Yep. So they did an airdrop at like over an Arizona desert. Like, there were so many steps into like figuring this out. It took months of preparation, and I didn't read everything because it was a little too technical.
Yeah.
Above my head. So there were actually two planes that flew at like 12,000 feet. So they had two planes doing this stunt. So it wasn't just one plane.
Jesus.
Yeah. And there were a lot of practice cars too. So this film, fun fact, this film did use 340 cars and 230 were destroyed. So there's your, if you were looking for numbers.
Essentially, anytime anything happens in this movie, a car gets like ripped in half.
Yes. So in this particular scene, they need to go to this remote highway in the Caucasus Mountains in Azerbaijan, which is, looks suspiciously like Colorado, but moving on.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Even after, as we were talking about it during that scene, and I was just still in my head, like, I mean, if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have thought.
So, and the military guy that's working for Mr. Nobody asked, like, we can't, like, infiltrate from there. There's no access point. How are they going to do it? And then they were like, well, we're just going to attach a bunch of parachutes to our cars and drop in, and that's exactly what happens, everyone. They drop in and bounce their way on the road and find the terrorist dudes so
his
caravan.
Yeah, it's this giant bus And
Yeah, it's like a Greyhound, like this
Does look like-
swanky looking like Japanese sleeper
like a
bus
really
they're
sweet
driving,
tour
and
bus,
they're
yeah.
surrounded by Mercedes, a couple of Jeeps, like all matte black, like real evil guy looking vehicles. So
yeah, this
guns.
went
There's a
on
lot of
forever.
guns.
It was really cool. All the chase scenes in this movie go on super long too, and I was like, it just didn't let up, and I was cool with it. And this part was really sweet. I always love a big bus crash or bus. going
Yeah,
off a
that's the
cliff.
other thing. I feel like these action scenes last like 20 minutes apiece.
Do.
They are so
In this
long.
one, they don't. I mean, yeah, and there's always like 5 different things happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got a little bit of that in the last movie during like the last
Right.
chase scene, but this is every chase scene. It's just like just
Yeah.
constantly.
And it's like it. The other thing is it doesn't even ramp up to it. It's just like it just plateaus and everything just keeps happening, and the plateau doesn't stop, and then it just stops abruptly. So there's no. Well, I guess there was kind of a ramp up here because of the stunt with Paul Walker of running up the bus that's
As
falling
it's
off the cliff.
sliding off the cliff.
Yeah. So, and I think there was an actual stunt man for this.
It kind of looked like it. It looked like it.
I don't think this was CGI.
Yeah, it for sure wasn't Paul Walker.
No, it would have been a
It wasn't
stunt
Paul Walker.
man.
This is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
This would have been
find
Tom
it.
Cruise or a stunt double. Mm-hmm. So, that was good though. I mean, we don't have to like tear apart the entire chase scene.
No, we
for
don't.
that.
I was just curious to see how that part was filmed, and I was just looking
Yeah.
it up. But so Paul Walker runs up this bus, and then Letty swoops in, and she does a little bit of a drift, and Paul Walker grabs the spoiler on her car and is saved from careening down a bus on a cliff. So it was super rad. Like,
I just had to keep telling myself the movie had to happen.
yep, it's just a movie.
It had to happen. It's just a movie.
It's the world of make believe.
Yeah.
I also
So
made
good.
a comment that gravity must not
It
be a thing in this
It
universe.
is. It is until the movie needs it not to be.
Yeah.
But then
The gravity is just lighter.
Even gravity cannot kill the Rock multiple times in this movie.
It's true.
Like the Rock is the one that's completely immune to any of the gravity.
Right. Oh, yeah. So then moving on. What happens next?
So they get
What do we
Ramsey,
do?
who find out she's a girl, and then everybody in the crew wants to fuck her.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has a crush on her, and she just willingly gives up where she sold the chip to, or she gave the chip to this guy, or I don't know if he is a prince or whoever. Not a prince. No, they go to the
Well,
princess party.
she hid the chip inside of that car, which you knew what that car was. I didn't know what that car was.
Oh, yeah, the Hypersport.
Yeah.
We'll get to the car in a
Yeah.
bit, but
well, that's she hid it in that car and gave this car to this
it looked like
this guy in Abu Dhabi.
he is a mechanic, I think. He was in a garage at one point.
Yeah, he seems to own like a really nice like car shop.
But he also has like, the inn with the people in the expensive penthouse party.
Yeah,
so, this dude is not a schlub, and he tells Ramsey, because we do have a beach scene coming up. What I call the interpersonal relationship pool/beach scene that is in every single movie.
You have to have it.
Yeah, so Tej, who is Ludacris, he clearly has a crush on Ramsey because she is a computer hacker, and Tej was super into like all that security hacking stuff. So they kind of share the same hobby. I think it's cute.
It is cute.
But then I think of Devin Aoki, and I'm like, oh, because that was like Ludacris was. Sure.
Maybe their relationship was just not the best.
Maybe I don't know.
It's just he works too much.
Mm-hmm.
She probably doesn't have a job. Who knows? I don't know. But we do that. But then we find out we have to. Oh, I'm trying to remember. There was something I wanted to add to the beach scene, and I cannot remember what it is now. Anyways, we have to steal this car from an Arabian prince.
Yes.
Who keeps it up in a penthouse.
Like this
in
is
these fucking giant towers.
The pinnacle of opulence
Yeah.
is this penthouse. The mechanic in Abu Dhabi gets us into this party that this prince, presumably, I assume, someone of high power is just throwing in his penthouse.
Yeah.
And I mean...
They say it's the most exclusive party in all of
And
Abu Dhabi.
There's just a fountain there. There are like babes that are just painted gold and like dancing on like pillars, like they're live statues.
Yeah.
There's like a ton of food. Everyone's dressed super formal.
Middle of the day.
Well,
it's supposed to be the longest day of the year, and that's the reason for this party.
Right.
Which
we're having, it's a solstice party, I guess.
I was wondering if that was going to come up, if that was going to play into it somehow, but it didn't.
Or like they had more daylight to do stuff.
I don't know.
Who
They
knows?
just had to give a reason for this party, I suppose.
So they all have, they're all bugged and they're all like listening to each other and talking to each other. And they're trying to figure out how to get past the security at this party. So Tyrese Gibson makes a distraction by just grabbing these random girls by the hand, and he calls one of them Jasmine, just to like, he doesn't know her name. He's like, look, I found Jasmine. It's Jasmine's birthday.
By the way, fun fact, the DJ was T-Pain.
It was.
Yeah.
Yep. Cameo.
Didn't know that till I saw the credits.
Thank you for a fun fact.
Just logged that away.
Yeah, there's a couple cameos I read on Wikipedia but didn't write them down. So there are a lot of famous people in that scene just hanging out.
No shit.
I think I saw Iggy Azalea was in Race Wars at some point. She was one of the racers.
Oh, well, she's the chick that comes up and talks to her.
I think. Oh,
she's
yeah.
like, you're the one I've been hearing about. And I thought she looked familiar
Yeah.
because Iggy Azalea is weird looking.
That's not very nice.
I think she's weird. Whatever.
Moving on.
Sorry.
So they need to get past the security in this party, and Letty gets into this room and she beats up this security guard, and then Ronda Rousey is in this.
Oh my god. Yeah, so Ronda Rousey is like supposed to be like this prince's like head bodyguard.
And she is terrifying looking.
Yeah, she is. I don't know. I guess she's so annoying. She's just like I was watching fighting a lot at this time when she was like getting popular, and she lost a fight that happened that she was supposed to be like training for while she was shooting this movie and some other movie she was in at the same time, and like cut her training camp in like half or something, and went and fought and just got the shit kicked out of her, and then that was like her like first like really big loss. So I laugh at this movie. I was like, oh, this is like when Ronda Rousey got beat up, and she gets beat up in this movie too.
I'm only terrified out of awe.
Yeah.
Because she's a very intimidating character, and she puts up this crazy amazing fight as well.
Yeah.
So Letty gets her ass kicked, and or they both kind of kick each other's asses.
It kind of ends with them like flying over this balcony in the middle of the party and smashing all the DJ stuff, which is pretty brutal. This is a brutal fall for both those stunt people.
Yeah, and eventually Tej and Ramsey, they hack the security system so that Dom and Paul Walker can get into the garage where this car with the computer chip is stored. And Dom just picks up the fucking car like it's nobody's business.
I laughed about that. I was like, what the fuck? And you go, it's a really light car.
So it must be a really light car, right?
I guess so. And I mean, they can only imagine that is the movie expects you to know that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not gonna buy. I'm not crazy.
So yeah, this is the Hypersport. I don't remember what the model is, but I knew going into this, I knew what it was, and there was like one of 10 or one of 7. Sorry, it's one of 7 of these cars exist. And the model that they used in this movie, it was not an actual Hypersport. So the company that made them, I don't know what they're called. Are they just called Hypersport? No idea. So the company that made them made a special model just for the filming of this that they would crash through stuff.
Yeah, it's just a stunt model. Yeah, basically.
But were they touching like a real one? Probably. That must have been a real one that someone lent out, I assume.
Maybe.
So.
Would they need to do that, really? I mean, for the sake of the movie?
That's what the people want. James Wan said.
James Wan
said that's what the people want.
It's what the people want.
Oh, my God. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The car itself, I actually did Google this after the movie was over. A real Hypersport is worth $3.4 million, or at least it
Okay.
was at the time that Wikipedia page was written.
And here we go, and we jump it out of the side of the fucking building
Right.
into another building.
But they got the computer out of it. That's the point.
Yeah, I had lost track. I had so lost track of why they needed this car.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, I said it earlier, this movie's really good about making you forget about
Right.
major characters until they walk in the room, but it also makes me forget what else is happening completely in the movie.
Right. So they get the computer and they meet up with Mr. Nobody again and they hand the computer over. And then now comes the big... We're entering the final scene where...
Oh, yes. Sorry, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
I'm
You go.
excited. I'm. This is where. So the whole movie, I was going, and I was like nudging you the whole time. I'm like, Kurt Russell's gonna be the bad guy. He wants the thing, and as soon as he gets the thing,
Right. I started
Shaw's
to think
gonna
that
kick in the
too.
door, and he's gonna be like, he's the bad guy, and then they're gonna be on the same team, you know?
Right.
Because we went into this, we go into this movie with the knowledge that Shaw does end up being like a friend. So like there's that.
Right.
So you're waiting for the real villain to show up for the movie, the real like antagonist. And I guess really it ends up being kind of Shaw, but mostly like the terrorist guys.
Right.
Mose. And but like this is where I was surprised, and this is where the movie totally made me go, now I have no idea what's gonna happen.
Yeah, so we go back to LA. So everything is going to take place in LA from here on out,
Well,
right?
hold on. We have to talk about the Kurt Russell putting on the fucking night vision glasses. So that still
yeah.
happens in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I completely forgot about the desert.
Because
they're
they
driving
go and they give Kurt Russell the thing. And this is right where I'm like, here's going to be the reveal.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then he hands it back to Dom and he goes, okay, now all of our resources are yours. Let's go find Shaw. And I was like, what?
I know. I didn't expect
What
that
a
either.
weird, like, okay. So then we go, because we have the God's Eye thing and we see how
Right.
it works. And then we go and we find where Shaw's hiding in this factory wherever in the desert still.
Right.
And as they're about to basically like take Shaw, the Digimon Hanzo and his guys bust in, and there's this big shootout, and this is where we see Kurt Russell is like, not only is he a good guy, but he's like puts on his fucking like sunglasses and clicks them on, and they're night vision goggles.
Yeah.
And he just starts like picking dudes off with like 2 pistols. Like, I'm so used to Kurt Russell popping up in movies and not doing anything. Like, he pops up and he's
Right.
just a guy in a suit. And I figured he was just going to be a guy in a suit the whole time in this movie. And he just starts going nuts and he gets shot. And suddenly we're like, oh my God.
Well, then he did that thing where he winked, and I didn't know if the wink meant like, oh, I'm just going to pretend to be dead.
Yeah.
Or if the wink meant I'm actually a bad guy.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
So at
because-
that point, at that point in the movie, you just didn't know,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, is it
Yeah.
gonna be another twist?"
Gripped.
Yeah.
Gripped. A little
Yeah.
like because it happens in a way that it's like this dramatic, like he gets shot and you're like, so you're like, oh my God, it's like dramatic slow motion, and he turns around
Yeah.
and he looks at Dom
And he winks.
and then he gets shot again, and me thinking, I was just like, this is like his winking before he gets, because he knows he's about to get shot again, and it's sort of like, I'm cool with it. It's sort of like, okay, passing it on to you. He's just the send-off. It was just the send-off. I thought he was dead. I thought he was going to die.
See,
right
I thought
there.
the wink was either he's gonna pretend to be dead, winked
Yeah.
at Dom, don't give me away.
Yeah.
Or I thought it was he's gonna die.
Yeah.
But it's gonna turn out that he's a bad guy in
Yeah.
some facet. So.
Yeah. No, I was surprised. I was
Yeah.
surprised. And not only that, but they get him out, and, he does the whole, I've got, he just calls, like, his own private medical
Yeah, he's
helicopter
like,
to
I
come
have
pick
my
him
own
up.
health insurance, and this helicopter shows
Honestly,
up.
was still kind of thinking something was going to happen, but, like...
Nothing did?
He's more so just like, I know you got this. Like, I'm
And
super
he's,
cool. I'm old guy, spec ops dude that we're friends now.
He's just out of the movie
Yeah.
for a little bit.
I'm really excited. I'm excited for more Kurt Russell in this.
So you want to jump to L.A.
Yeah.
The final takedown, the showdown is going to happen.
I'm going to say that I was kind of with all the shit that happened in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. I was kind of a little let down that the movie ended in LA.
I'm not, because it's like where they started. This is still a Fast and the Furious movie.
And it is still trying to convince you that it's going to be the last movie.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is we go into this knowing that it's not.
For some of it to not be in Tokyo for like 5 seconds, like, throwing that audience a bone. The people that like the racing part.
That was good. The way they did that, it looked... I mean, if you didn't know, if you didn't know these movies were, made, that half of the franchise was made 10 years apart or whatever.
Right. You wouldn't know.
No.
Yeah, so we get into this final scene, which I can't remember what happens right before the chase.
Well, so basically, what ends up happening after that, the stuff in Abu Dhabi is the terrorists do get the God's Eye. Right?
Oh, because one of the dudes finds a computer that was dropped by Ramsey. That's right. So that's how they get it.
So they have it, but then they go, we're going to... because they still want her, is the thing. They still want her.
Well, they need her to know how to work it, more or less.
And so instead, they're going to use her to hack into the God's Eye thing. But they have to do it, basically, they have to be mobile. They're like driving around LA.
Oh, yeah, so...
they have to stay within a certain radius.
That's why I don't remember the beginning of this scene, because it was just 10 minutes of blah, 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 blah.
It gets kind of complicated. I found myself getting a little lost in this last... Like, the whole third act of the movie was kind of like... Oh, I fucking can't... They're getting chased by a drone.
Yeah, so Ramsey basically has to hack her own hack to get it to stop working so that they can't be found. And she doesn't have her original computer since the terrorists got a hold of that after Mr. Nobody was quote-unquote killed.
Yeah.
For all they know, he's dead, because I don't think they realized that he was alive still, Mr. Nobody.
What, you mean the terrorists?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if they... I'm not sure.
Or if that's relevant. I feel like it is, because I feel like he's going to come back. That's the only reason I say that.
Okay.
So she has to hack into her own computer hack to get it to stop, and that's how they're going to stop these terrorists, because Shaw is also after this chip.
That's the thing, is the
he works for the terrorists somewhat, or they have some sort of... He has some sort of allegiance to him.
So he is trying to get... Yeah, he is technically being employed by them, and he's trying to get the God's Eye for them. Mm-hmm. Originally, that's what it was. Right.
Yeah.
I was a little confused for a bit, too. Because then his conflict between like Dom and them like is kind of happening at the same time.
Well, they try to kill him from the helicopter, like in that fight scene between Dom and Shaw.
Yeah,
the missile guy was like, we can't fire that. Shaw's right there. We can't kill Dom with the missile. And Mr. Head Honcho was like, I don't care. Kill them both.
I think it's sort of like he's just expendable.
Yeah,
just like anybody else. I think that's kind of.
But that fight scene with Dom and Shaw
was pretty cool.
So the way it starts is they're in a standoff again in their cars, and it looks like they're gonna play chicken again.
Yeah,
like they did in the prior scene.
Yeah,
and Dom, like he. It's just so ridiculous. I can't talk about it without laughing.
Well, it's such a good setup. It was such a good setup with the first time they meet, and they actually do just crash into each other.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, they're gonna do it again. What did Dom do to prepare?
Yeah. So basically, he just makes his car pop a wheelie
He
on
just
its
guns
two
it.
back
He just
wheels,
pops
guns
a
it,
fucking wheelie.
and just basically lands on top of Shaw, the
it's
front of his car.
It's so brutal.
And then he just starts firing down.
That was
into
cool
a car.
too. This movie had me for like seconds.
Yeah.
Just had me because right after they crash and he just grabs his sawed off and he's like boom, boom, just shooting through the floor. Which is just this visceral, and they're shooting at each other because
Like
Shaw
through
starts shooting at him, through his fucking the bottom of Dom's car. Oh, it was just nasty.
So they both get out of their vehicles finally, and Shaw is holding like generic heavy looking car part, and Dom has his sawed off shotgun, and Dom says, "What do you think this was going to be, a street fight?" And so Shaw said this to him in the beginning of the film, the last time they met and they crashed into each other, because Shaw had a gun and Dom had like a sledgehammer or something.
Oh wow!
And I just thought this part,
I totally didn't even catch this. I didn't even catch
this.
this.
Is what adds to that Looney Tunes-ness that I like about it, because Dom fires off the last shot in his shotgun and then just grabs this comically huge wrench that he happened to have in his vehicle, like huge, heavy looking tools, and then they just basically go at each other, melee. Like,
and it's they do this great like 300-esque like slow motion jump at each other.
Oh
like,
yeah, this would be a
out.
cool part to talk about the camera stuff too that they do here.
Oh yes, well all the fight scene camera stuff is fucking awesome. Like it's just, I mean. The weird thing about James Wan is he does these same kind of things in the horror movies that he does. I mean, other than like Saw, I haven't seen the bulk of
He does a lot of flippy camera
stuff, though.
I keep calling it the Evil Dead swirly, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Like the Sam Raimi, like, whoa, we're following the... Yeah, it's first person, almost.
Like, but I like it, and it is really good. They're good fight scenes. And I did buy the Jason Statham versus Vin Diesel fight way more than the Rock versus Vin Diesel fight. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
They're probably more so the same height. Although they do make Jason Statham and The Rock the same height in this movie.
I don't think they are, though.
No, I don't think they are either. And I think in Hobbs and Shaw, I feel like they are their true heights, because the joke is that he's smaller a lot of the times.
I'll add a side note here. Every time I think of Jason Statham, I only think of the Erasure music video, Run to the Sun, because Jason Statham is just like this near naked man, and he's just spray painted silver.
Yeah.
And I forget what
this is like early 90s, right?
Yeah, this was like early 90s. This is like 1992 or 3.
Yeah.
It came off, I think it was the I Say album, I think.
It is noticeably Jason Statham.
It is. So anybody who's listening, I encourage you to look up Erasure, the Run to the Sun music video. You will not be disappointed.
Oh no, it's a cool song too.
Yeah,
I was totally down.
Erasure's just kind of like that goofy new Romo pop stuff. So, it's not for everyone. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but at least go see it. Just look at Jason Statham's spray painted silver.
It's super funny. It's so weird. Oh my god. So, we go through this fucking complicated long ass chase scene that just goes on.
Yeah, it goes all the way through a parking garage. We blow up a parking garage. There's a drone.
Yeah, the drone flying around's cool. Even though I mean, it was like hovering. You know,
so,
it was definitely like not real drone.
So the terrorists have this God's eye technology stuff, and they're tracking the every move of Dom's gang in LA.
They're both tracking each other.
Well, yeah,
it seems like both parties know exactly where each.
But it's like unless Ramsey's in the car with you, like they wouldn't know, because Ramsey I think can see him, but they don't.
That's right.
Unless there's something literally overhead or something explodes behind them.
Because they were like they do that thing where they spin around next to each other, and she jumps from one car to the other with her computer.
Yeah.
To avoid like a missile.
Yeah. So Paul Walker's is that a Nissan again? Is someone gonna slap me for saying Nissan?
Well, it's a GTR. because I think they call it. I hear somebody
it's a
say
GTR. Oh, you're right. Yeah, so his car gets annihilated with a missile. Ramsey is now in the car with Roman and Tej, and they're driving this old, clunky looking.
Oh yes. So okay, yes, this is actually we're perfect. We're in the perfect spot because this is where I wanted to mention The Rock, because they're driving and they're getting chased by the drone, and earlier The Rock is like looking out his window in his hospital room.
Oh my gosh, yeah, talk about this.
And he
Oh my
sees
God.
like explosions happening, and he's like, his eyebrow goes up.
And then then the TV goes static.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, and he starts putting all his gear on, and he literally flexes out of his cast.
Yeah, his arm is broken, so he takes off the gauze that was basically draped over his well-oiled and just worked out body.
He's still in regular clothes too. He's not like in a hospital gown or anything.
Yeah.
Like,
he just has a sleeveless shirt on. He's ready to go. Again, he fell out a fucking window and landed on top of a fucking car.
it's
No
okay.
bruises.
He's fine. He's fine.
The Rock doesn't bruise easily.
So we see that earlier, and then we later on we fast forward to the three of them in the car with the computer, and this drone has followed them out of this tunnel, and right as it comes out this tunnel, fucking The Rock in an ambulance he has stolen from the hospital,
Screaming all the way.
Like, just, I mean, beautiful. The most cinema at its best in 2015. Like, crashes off of this bridge and lands this ambulance on top of this drone, explodes.
That flew through a tunnel, by the way. The drone went through a tunnel.
The timing needed to just pull off the stunt for the sake of the movie was probably, I mean, because I'm sure there was definitely some practical effects there. That wasn't a fully CGI like thing. Oh my God, though. And I fucking loved it. And then he just gets out and just crawls out of the wreckage. And then grabs the fucking minigun off of the drone.
And just takes it with him and starts marching down the road.
I watched the trailer for the movie while you were taking notes, and I just saw snippets and stuff, and I was like, how is the movie gonna get to this?
Right.
How is the movie gonna get to The Rock walking down the street with a fucking minigun? And to where I'm not going, this is ridiculous. And it did it. It did it just fine.
It just made sense. We're like, okay.
These movies are like a little kid telling me a story, and it's just the most fantastic story. And I'm just going like, well, it's ridiculous, but he did a really good job telling the story.
Right.
I'm just it was just great. I was stoked on all the action and everything. You can shit on these movies all you want, and it's fair.
Yeah, we also joked that for him to blast through every single round on that gun, it was like he's gonna touch it, and it's gonna be 1 second.
I mean,
and
so
150 rounds gone.
It's like it's got like the chain of ammunition left.
And he's just dragging it
behind him, and it's like if you've ever seen one of those things go off, they fire like 150 rounds a fucking second. And he's got like 2 foot of ammunition behind him.
Like it's gonna be gone.
So I was like, he's gonna pull the trigger and it's gonna be empty immediately. But of course, it's him rocking down the street going.
Yeah, for 5 minutes he doesn't run out of ammo.
I mean, he does eventually, and again, the movie had to happen.
So let's talk about that garage collapsing and the final jump.
Yeah.
That Dom makes.
Yes.
And we thought that he was going to crash into that helicopter the terrorists are piloting.
So I'll tell you what I thought was going to happen. I'll tell you what I thought was going to happen. I thought what it was going to do was he was going to jump, and he was going to fly by the helicopter, and he was going to just toss the bag of grenades into the helicopter. And that was going to be, and as the zoom in on the grenades, they're all missing pins or whatever, it's like, whoop, and then you have that. But what did happen is
even better.
I don't know. I think I was kind of weirded out by it.
Well, the thing is, I kind of thought the same thing after we saw that he missed the helicopter. So the helicopter starts to steer away so Dom doesn't crash into it, but he grazes the side of it before coming back down. And I thought, oh, he probably tossed the bag of grenades in there. That's what's going to happen.
That's exactly.
But they were hanging on the side of the helicopter, so they didn't see them hanging there. And then Hobbs saw them and fired at them, and
how far away do you think he was?
far away.
How far?
How far? Too far to
they're above this parking garage, right? Which was like 4 stories high.
Yeah,
like
it
something
must
like
have
that,
been.
right? So this is a large military helicopter. It eats probably 100 feet up.
Yeah,
more, if not more.
So Dom flew off a ramp of rubble from this parking garage, really high in the air, managed to hang a duffel bag of grenades that he stole from Shaw's car onto this helicopter.
The confusing thing is that The Rock is able to, not only is he able to see that and shoot it, but he knows what it is.
Yeah.
He has been on the street.
Yeah.
This entire time he's not aware that there exists a duffel bag of grenades. Not enough to recognize it from so far away, and then he just starts shooting at it with his pistol.
Oh yeah. Dom got the bag of grenades after Shaw got hurt by the missile the terrorists fired. I should add that. So it's not casually got a bag of grenades.
It was
from
in
him.
Shaw's car. He noticed it in Shaw's car during a fight, which I saw that. I was like, oh, he's going to do something with that bag of grenades.
Grenade Man.
Mr. Grenade Man is going to bite him in the butt, you know? But to me, it was just, I don't understand why they did it like that, when it would have made so much more sense for him to like you said, he misses, and we think, oh, damn.
Yes, yeah.
You were aiming for the helicopter and missed.
Well,
but
then
the bad guys turn around and the bag of grenades are there.
And I thought the Looney Tunes, he tossed a bag in there, and then we were going to cut to the terrorists looking at the bag going,
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, what?
Yeah. They blow up. But they ended up, this was so much better, though. Hobbs firing at an indiscriminate black object that you can't see probably on a military helicopter. It
was not the most letdown of any of the villain deaths or the climaxes of these movies, but it's up there. I was kind of bummed. It's the only thing that's going to keep this movie from getting the highest grade.
Yeah,
for sure. Thinking about it now, it kind of made me mad.
Yeah. So then we have the ending. So I'll save the heartfelt ending. I'm going to talk about what happens to Shaw real quick, since that's really short. So Hobbs takes Shaw, and Shaw is alive after all this. After
he just got collapsed on by that.
Yeah, after having a missile fired at him and a parking garage collapsing on top of him. Shaw is
on his legs. He has a huge chunk of concrete on his legs, and he's just walking in the next scene.
Yep, so he is in this underground detention facility, and this is where we see the name that we couldn't think of the CIA group that Mr. Nobody's part of, because it said Black blah 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 detention center or something.
Yeah.
And Hobbs he's in those bar handcuff things. His feet are cuffed together. There's all these automatic weapons in the hallway, aiming at him, in this skinny hallway leading to his cell, which is underneath 38 feet of concrete and steel, is what The Rock says. Yeah. So
better start digging.
Yes. And it sounds like Hobbs expects Shaw to escape from this. I expect him to escape from it somehow. There is a window in his cell, after all. He'll find a way out. Yeah, it's in the door, though. Yeah, the door to the hallway with all the automatic weapons.
Yeah. So I don't know. I am loosely aware of the plot of the next movie, and I don't know if it involves him or not. I don't know.
I hope so. I really liked him as a villain.
Yeah. It might be the one when he comes back officially, as a semi-good guy.
I mean, I merely liked him for the fact that he was just so brutal.
Yeah.
We didn't see much of a character arc with him. Like, we just saw his brutality and his just one track, like, I need to find Dom. I need to find these people. That's it.
Yeah.
Which is why I want to see more of him. So.
He's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool character. And Hobbs and Shaw is a sweet movie.
Yeah.
Like, super.
We'll have to watch that one. I don't know if that one. Was that canon in
it
the
is.
series?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was like a side
there's
thing.
actually, there's some interesting kind of like tea
okay.
surrounding like the production of that because Vin Diesel didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And there was apparently some shit between him and The Rock because The Rock did it.
Interesting.
And I don't know. That'll be something you'll probably look into when
I'll look
get to
into
that.
it for alleged
There was
fun
some
facts.
alleged beef between The Rock and Vin Diesel over that.
Interesting.
Over that movie. Yeah, because Vin Diesel, to my knowledge, is still like solely responsible or like heavily responsible for like getting these movies made now, kind of the way Tom Cruise is
It's also
Mission
true.
Impossible. So, like, and I don't think he had a hand in Hobbs and Shaw at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we will cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
So the final scene of the movie, the fam is all back together. We're on the family picnic scene. We gotta have a picnic.
Ending.
It has to be at least one picnic in
movie
every
does have-
single Fast and the Furious movie.
It does have, yeah, and it has the ultimate too, because this is the Return of the King level long ending.
I know. This was very emotional. I almost cried.
Well, this was
because so as we know that this was Paul Walker's final film, and he unfortunately passed away basically in the middle. Well, not in the middle. Well, towards the end of filming it, because both of Paul Walker's younger brothers were stand-ins for the scenes that he was unable to complete.
Yeah.
Which does include some of these final beach scenes and the final car scene, which, man, so they're on the beach. So the final line of like this beach scene, Dom says, you know, it's never goodbye or something like that. And we just see Jordana Brewster like, and their little son, and we know she's pregnant again.
Oh yeah,
by the
we didn't
way.
even mention that.
And Paul Walker, they're just blissfully playing in like the shallow waves. You know, it's so happy and you want to cry.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a scene of Dom driving down a California highway and somebody pulls up next to him. And it's one of Paul Walker's brothers doing a stand-in for it. And I forget what he says. He's like, oh, did you think you could leave without saying goodbye or something? So they're both racing alongside each other down this highway. And then Brian's character, or I guess I forget what Paul Walker's brothers' names are. He turns down like a fork in the road and Dom goes a different direction. And oh my gosh, that broke my heart. That broke my heart. And then it cut to just a screen that said for Paul.
Yeah.
Like,
And then they had like a little montage.
Oh, they had a montage of like everything that Paul Walker,
all the other movies,
like key moments. You know, it was so. That was a good tribute.
It really was, and like I said earlier, it was. I was really surprised that I was as emotional about it. You know.
Yeah.
And because it was really nice the way they did that. It wasn't cheesy or anything, and
it was the cars going down the different directions is what got me the most. Like just the ham, like it's such a ham-fisted symbolism thing, and you think to yourself like, oh, that's so ham-fisted, and you're annoyed at it, but it's still so sad, and you're like, that is so sad.
It was touching. It really was. I mean, again, from these fucking movies.
I know this is a Fast and the Furious movie still, by the way.
I was touched, you know.
I'm telling you, you could transplant a Metal Gear game with like all the dialogue and everything that happened, and you could.
Oh,
and
please.
So,
please.
Nanobots.
Would. Okay, so
anyway,
what would you give this film for a score?
I'm
looking at my last one to see what I
wrote
gave
my
the
other
last
notebook
movie.
last time, so I have no freaking clue.
I did the same thing.
Oh, dang. Okay. Do I have any other notes in here? No. All right. Well, I recall the previous time, I think I bumped down Tokyo Drift to the number 2 spot, and I think I did put the 6th film in my top spot, if I do recall. Somebody, I'm sure, will yell at me later. So, oh, you did the same thing too. Is that your... I see numbers.
Yeah.
I'm going to write mine down real
That's
quick.
because we went... I don't remember. My notes just never make sense if I look at them weeks later, months later.
Okay. I think I have my ranking here. So
I wasn't going to do all of them. Were you going to do all of them?
No, I just want to...
Because I just had to look at my
I'm not going to
last
do
one.
all of them and like compare them to each other, but this is just from my most liked to my least liked right now. I just wrote the number of the film. So most liked, I put, and this is going to least liked, 7, 6, 3, 5, 4, 1, and 2. So 1 and 2 is still at the very bottom. Tokyo Drift still is up there though. It's the 3rd one.
Yeah, that's in 3rd for you. I see.
I mean, it's a strong tie between that and the 5th one. But I'd say I'm putting 7 at the top for me right now. That was super entertaining, and they really outdid themselves with the stunts in this one. Like, I thought the Soviet plane and the tank was insane in the last one, but these were very creative.
Well, like, you were super stoked about the Abu Dhabi, the crashing out of the building.
Yeah.
Because, like, I hear you go, please crash it into the other building.
Yeah,
like,
I
right
did say
before.
that. I should say they were driving this hypersport. They drove it out of the building into another building, drove it out of that building into a fucking museum, crashed into like a bunch of like Chinese like terracotta figures.
So
they
funny.
ruined this entire museum of like expensive shit.
Yep.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the stunts in this one, you know, much like I enjoyed the stunts in the 6th one. I kind of anticipate this turning into a pattern of me just putting at the top, you know, the most recent film.
The next one is the best.
Yeah.
I can, I was kind of wondering.
I give this a solid A, I think. I think I gave 6 a solid A too.
I did too. I gave 6 an A. From what I'm seeing in my notes in my other notebook. But I'm going to give this one a B.
A B?
Yeah.
Why a B?
I mean, well, so if I'm comparing it to the last one, I think I liked all the stunts in the last one better. I liked, especially the plane. That fucking shit, just thinking about it drops my IQ. I loved the absurdity. This one, like, it had plenty of that, and like all the car stuff was really good, and there was a lot more of it. I liked the climax of the last movie better than this one, and for me that's usually a big thing. Like, if the movie doesn't blow up in the 3rd act. Like, I really felt like the Abu Dhabi stuff, something of that level should have happened at the end of this movie. And
I don't know. I think the drone and everything.
The drone was crazy. The drone stuff was cool.
The bag with the grenades
and
that was over the top.
ambulance, the Rock driving the ambulance into the drone was wild and unpredictable. But I don't know. 6 for me ramped up better than this one did. This one, like, the craziest shit was driving out of those buildings, and that's all. The rest of it, though, made so much more sense than any of the other movies. Like,
Right.
just the way the movie, just the pacing of the movie. Like, James Wan is a really, really good action director. He's you just see a difference, and I don't like him necessarily as a horror director, but as action stuff, like superhero stuff. I know he did Aquaman.
Oh yeah, he did.
The Aquaman movies. Like, he may have done one of the Ant-Man movies too, but I don't remember. But I think he's really, really cool for action stuff.
He did do Mortal Kombat. the recent one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I saw that too. That was cool. So, okay, action wise, it was cool. I could. The movie that shit had its issues, but I don't know. Everything else about this made sense, but it was just the end of it just wasn't, and just that confusing thing with the bag of grenades. It kind of just made my stomach feel weird.
See, I thought it was very cheeky that it happened that way, because not only did it, dare I say, defy my expectations. Like, in the matter of like 5 seconds, it defied my expectations like 3 times. Oh, he's gonna hit the helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh no, he didn't. Oh, he's gonna toss the bag of grenades in there. Oh no, he didn't. Oh no, this third more ridiculous thing that you never think would happen actually happened instead. So, in terms of like the small little twists, like the action twists like that, I found that very enjoyable, because you don't know what direction it's going.
That's fair. It really is. It really was unpredictable, and I mean, like, I was trying to call the movie the whole time.
Couldn't.
It really couldn't.
That, and I feel transitioning to scenes in which there's no action, or the interpersonal relationship beach scene. It felt better than previous films. Like, previous films, there was like a harder cut. It was like it would just stop, and now we're all talking to each other.
And it would kind of whiplash
then
a
it
little
would
bit.
throw you back in, and that's oftentimes why I gave some of these movies lower grades, because of that sense of whiplash. But on the other hand, I think, well, this is an action movie. It's just going to be whiplash all over the place.
Yeah.
So as I got used to it, like, you start to forgive it, but everything seemed to move and transition more smoothly in this, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's
paced better.
Yeah.
Or at least just in a way that is more befitting of this sort of movie.
Right. That, and the Sam Raimi following people right behind them when you're chasing them. Like,
you can also you could also take this movie still follows that trend where you can just take the entire script and move it to a different movie,
and it would make sense.
And it would be fine.
Yeah.
Other than like character stuff and whatever, I mean, realistically, you hear things, people say phrases you hear like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Or there's just some of the most cliched kind of one-liners you'll hear. I didn't sign up for this shit and that kind of stuff. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that Roman's character was such a jokester this time.
It's always how it is, but it just wasn't as funny in this one.
Well, this time,
I don't know.
This time it felt, I don't want to say ham-fisted again, but it was just annoying, and it just seemed like he was there for cheapo one-liners, and I don't like that his character is just kind of devolved into this crack a joke kind of person when, in the second movie, like, he had a storied past with Paul Walker, and he's kind of a very intense person, and I wish that would have come out more. They do. Like, he's still a jokester a little bit in everything, but this time it was overwhelming. And
it's kind of like all it is.
I know, but I didn't like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I feel like they were kind of making the joke that's kind of all he was.
Yeah,
the
chicken butt.
The jokester.
The whole time.
Yeah, a chicken butt.
Well, he's just, to me, and maybe it's because I haven't watched these in a couple months, it just seemed pretty extra, like, the amount of, like, cowardice he showed, and
yeah,
the amount
especially
of complaining he did.
The whole thing with, like, not jumping out the plane.
I mean, he did complain in the prior films too, like when the gang was getting back together. So I get that he was always a complainer.
He does show up in the nick of time in the Azerbaijan part.
Oh yeah, when he's parachuting out of the sky.
Yeah, like, I thought that was actually really funny.
Yeah,
like when because he jumped out so late and he's floating around, like
he manages to save them somehow because of his cowardice.
Like, it's I thought that was funny, like that whole where you can see him in the background, like his car floating off while they're going down this road. Like,
right.
That was funny. I was down for this movie most of the time. You know?
I enjoyed it. So,
like, I would, I'm still enjoying them, and Mia's character still useless. Elena's
Letty
character
got her
still.
memories back. We should.
Oh my god! I can't believe I fucking didn't even think to bring that up.
Oh yeah. So Dom gets a little shuffled around and beat up, and Letty remembers everything suddenly, and she's holding Dom. They're trying to give Dom CPR. And
well, so
he's still alive.
Throughout the movie, they've been implying that she's having like flashbacks of like before the stuff she can't remember.
Yeah.
I think that starts during the race wars scene, and then like a couple other times where
she has other flashbacks.
Yeah, and like they don't really get too deep into it, and then I guess it has really been her like memories coming back, and she just like doesn't, she doesn't know what to do, and then it's just like, oh, I just reveal. That's the reveal. It's like, oh, I've been getting my memories back. I remember us getting married and blah blah blah.
Yeah, it was a very touching scene. She did ask Dom, "Why didn't you tell us that we were married?" And Dom says something like, "Well, I can't tell you to love me." And it's like, aw. And then, they kind of get back together after that. So
it's a fucking movie.
I know. A lot of emotional depth, a lot of different emotional
I'm just gonna say B+.
Oh, B+. I gave it just an A.
I'm just gonna say B+. I was really just wanted to stick with solid ratings, but whatever. We'll just say it's an asterisk.
Okay.
I don't know, because it might change.
It might change. So.
Well, you never know.
So.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. I don't got anything else I want to say.
Furious
7.
And up next,
is the
Fate of the Furious.
Oh yeah, Fate of the Furious. Fast.
The last one that we own. We have to purchase another one after that one.
We'll have to find another one at Goodwill.
We have to get Hobbs and Shaw too, because I don't have that one.
Yep. So thank you for joining us tonight. This has been Lyndon and Emily with the Non-Essential Fountains podcast.
Yeah. I don't have anything.
Okay.
I don't have
Bye.
anything. Bye.
Bye.